goal from somebody besides Martins and Dempsey. Do you think that will open things up for you guys at all? I know Lamar said it was sort of a relief for him to kind of break that.
No, I mean, it's good for Lamar personally because, he had a tough game in L.A. where he had a lot of chances and didn't score. And this time, probably the easiest of all his chances he didn't score on. But, he scored 2 good goals. First goal was a great goal. Second goal, he stayed with it. He was persistent. And, it was a good ball from Papa in. So, I'm really happy for Lamar, to get onto the scoreboard.
And with Oba's goal, Andy called it the best touch he's ever seen. What were kind of your thoughts on what he was able to pull off there?
I mean, it's stuff like that. You just sit there and you go, wow. If you're coming to a game and you're paying an admission ticket, that's worth the price of admission. If that's the only thing you see, if you're in the beer line for the whole game and that's the only thing you got to your seat for, then it was worth the whole wait. It's just one of those things. I think players, sometimes they're so instinctive, and Oba's a very instinctive player. I think if you asked him to recreate that, he couldn't recreate it, but he's got just such wonderful body control, and he's so instinctive, and and he's willing to try things. You gotta sometimes Dempsey does the same thing. You gotta dare to be brilliant, and they try that every once in a while, and when it comes off, it's stupendous.
Last year he had goal of the year, and this year already 2 jaw-dropping goals. Is there one that sticks out to you more, or where does this one rank for you?
It ranks up there. I think, for sure. Over his time in the league, when you look at his time and how many times he's had goal of the week, I mean, he might be at the top of the list. The only guy I remember more so was Carlos Ruiz when in LA in 2002. It seemed like every other goal he hit was one of those where you go, wow, And then we went through a series of goals here, and I think in our second or third year in Seattle, where everybody that scored against us was goal of the week. So it was like, okay, we'd rather not have that happen. But he just, as I said, he's got great body control. He tries things, and he's ended up scoring some spectacular goals.
For Lamar this week, obviously you were playing at him as an outside winger when he scored versus up top in LA when he was kind of unable to find the back of the net. Do you think that factored into why he was able to have success? Is that something he's more comfortable in outside?
No. I mean, I think, he was unlucky when he played up front, but I think that game helped him sort of get going, because he wasn't playing as well as he knows he can play. And I know he can play, and so he just had a better game even from the wing. And you can be goal dangerous from the wing, and we've shown that we're a team that has wingers who can score goals. I mean, Lamar had 9, Steve Zakawani 1 year up here had 10 as a winger, Alvaro Fernandez, Flacco had like 7, 8 goals as a wide player. So we've always had wide players who can get forward and score goals, and that he knows he can score goals from that position. He can score goals from up top as well.
From a tactical standpoint, what is the difference in kind of, strategy when you're trying to score from an outside position as opposed to being, Oba or Clint up front?
Well, you just, it's a matter of your timing of your runs. It's like you're sometimes not the first option as people are playing forward. Sometimes you're the second option, so sometimes you're playing a little more off the front too. So like his first goal, you come off the line a little bit and you end up getting a goal, and he wasn't doing that a lot earlier. So that opens up space for you, and then, you have the ability, while the focus is on the other two, he can make the late run in the box and get the ball from Papa over the top. So the thing is, you're able to, come from a more disguised position because you're not considered to be the primary target sometimes by the opposition, and that opens up space for you.
Y'all seem to turn off the Colorado offense a little bit more in the second half, and Schmetzer was saying it wasn't like any great strategic change, it was more just a reminder. And so the question, I guess, is kind of what sort of things can you not just yell from the sidelines? What can you do at halftime, and how much can you actually influence a game as it's playing out?
Sometimes when a game's going, while the game's going on, to try and make adjustments and make changes, you can say those things, but for some reason it's tough to get the message to everybody at the same time, and sometimes the game just has this life of its own and it keeps going. But then at halftime, you're able to get the message to everybody all at one time, and our message at halftime was simply, hey, we're up 2-1. Let's they were better than us, but let's not get overly excited now, and let's talk about what we need to do. And we need to get our lines of 4 together. So we're defending as a block of 8. We need to get our outside backs inside a little more because they're not really going around the flanks, force them down the flanks, and we need to get tighter to people in midfield. And we did that, and so forth. Sometimes people always say, well, they got an extra man in midfield, but when you look at the tape and you look at Dempsey and Oba are up top and there's 2 defenders back with them, well, that's 2v2, and if my math's right, that means we're defending 8 against 8. So, but all defenders sometimes love to become free, and okay, you can go mark him and I'll be free, and then you can go mark him and I'll be free, and it's like reminding them that when you're in our end of the field, you don't want to be free, you want to be marking people, you want to get tight to people, and I think we did that better in the second half. But at halftime, when you have them all there together, you can get the message across to all of them at the same time, and then they all sort of know where you're headed. Basketball has timeouts, football has lots of breaks. Unfortunately, for us, it's very few.
It seems like that would obviously be the advantage for Coach, but Schmetzer says he loves the pace of the game. It's part of the beauty. He would not want timeouts in this sport.
Yeah, no, it's part of what it is, because it's a much more, I can say it's a more cerebral sport, because the players have to be able to think and adjust on their own. And sometimes when you have young players, you'll tell a young player, hey, you got to look for that pass inside. And so the next time he gets the ball, he looks for the pass inside, even though it's not on, because, coach told me to look for the pass inside. And it's like, no, the clues of the game, that wasn't on that time. The ball down the line was on, So, hey, play it down the line. Well, one time you tell me to play it inside, next time you tell me to play it. But you got to read the clues of the game, So it's much more of a thinking sport, and then people realize, and players have to be very spatially aware, and have to be very smart, and feel where those spaces are. Eddie Gaven was one of the best players I ever coached in Columbus, and he just, when a ball got played into him with his back to goal, or even when he was on the sideline, he always seemed to know where the space was on his first touch. He would never turn into people on his first touch. And watch a lot of players how they turn into people. But he out of 10 balls, 9 times he'd turn into this open space. And he just had a great spatial awareness of where to be, and recognition. And that's looking over your shoulder, taking snapshots, being prepared before the ball comes to you. And it's speed of thought, which is different than most other sports. Basketball, when they're in the flow and getting up and down the court, yeah, it's like that. But, most of the other sports, it's like, okay, you got time to set it up, reset the buttons. Okay, now let's do it for 5-6 seconds, and then let's reset again. So.
How do you feel about the way Stefan Frei has played this year, and do you think there's another level he can push to, even with how far he came last year?
I think Stefan's played well. I think he's substantiated, or at least shown people why we made the trade last year. I think there was early on, people were looking at some of the errors that happened, but we knew he just needed to gain confidence and get games. And I think he's played very well. I think he's been very consistent. He's made the saves that he needs to make, and really hasn't gotten exposed at all. And so now, can he get to that next level? I think for me, it's all right now for him about getting more and more games and getting more and more confident. And goalkeepers become better as they become older. But when you look at Stefan right now, this is really maybe his, I forget how many years he played in Toronto, where he was playing before he got injured. Maybe it was 3. So it's now his 5th season in essence, and he'll probably reach his best level when he gets into his 7th, 8th season. But right now, I'm happy where he's at, and I want him to continue to grow.
And Dempsey's hammy came through okay?
Yeah. We wanted to be careful with it, because the other game we thought we pushed him too long, and so we wanted to make sure we were thinking about taking him out closer to 60. We pushed it a little bit because the tempo of the game was a little slower, so I held off a little bit, but we had planned to get him out of the game.